Okay, so I don't know if we should put chat on slow mode, but basically, yeah, the news is that I announced that that Reborn, a new fast-paced FPS esport game, has been in production for a couple of months, and I announced it. And originally, I wasn't going to announce it. I wasn't going to say anything until we just came out and showed you something. But I announced it. So we can just go into this, and rather than me say anything, I'll just take questions. So first of all, any questions from studio people like Hellspawn Newman?
Where comes the alpha?
When comes the alpha? Right? That's a alpha. It's playable now. We have a server up, a dedicated server that me, Fox, and Faz play on. And we're tweaking most of the game mechanics and physics right now. We haven't started on the weapons, but we've already designed what we want. And we're trying to work a way to where the movement system is interesting outside of fights and inside of fights. Because in Quake Live, when you hit a fight, it's just about this and aim. So we're working on movement mechanics that that basically make
it more tactical?
Make it more tactical, more surprising, more risk-reward, as well as more interesting when you're actually in combat. So there's no final movement system in the game that we've got, but we've got it playing at a very enjoyable play. But everything we've done could be changed. So alpha won't be coming for a very long time. And to be honest, I'm thinking of keeping it a lot more secret in terms of who actually gets to play on it than public for various reasons. And if I was to actually have an alpha, I might end up actually just flying people in that I want to test the game for me, and I have them only test the game at the studio. So,
and one question first: which game are you basing this mostly on? Is it Quake, like Quake 3, and then you develop it from that kind of?
Well, yeah, we started by first of all understanding all the math behind the Quake 3 physics, and we replicated Quake 3 perfectly in the engine.
All right.
To start with, so we actually got Quake 3 running in a different engine that we were completely in control of and understood, and it's C++, so we can build on top of the game. And then when we got the Quake 3 working, it was actually more of a test for our programmer, because our programmer, our main head programmer, wants to stay anonymous because he's quite a large industry figure. And he basically came to us, and after watching some of my interviews, because I did these interviews at strategic times to see if anyone was interested. And when he came to me, I wasn't really told who he was. And then what happened is that I made him wait 2 weeks on purpose to have the next meeting to see how interested he actually was. And then he actually waited, and then we had a meeting, and then I tested him, and then I made him do something to see how good he was. And then he was able to replicate what I wanted him to do, and then we took it from there and basically, took what our vision was. And when I say our vision, it was mine to begin with, and then Fox and Faz are also designers on it. So the base was Quake 3, but it won't feel like Quake 3.5, or it won't feel, the hopes of it is it's actually going to be something a bit newer and fresher, because I think, it's important that when you have the release of the game, that the Quake pros don't get a 10-year advantage, because it will deter a lot of new players from coming in. So there's a lot of tricky tasks to do with the physics over the time, and everything's still up in the air to change, but yeah, go on.
Yeah. When do you think you'll be able to show off screenshots or concept art?
Is the PC still on, or are you just disconnected? Okay. Yeah, go on.
Screenshots or concept art, when do you think you'll be able to show off?
We have one piece of concept art, which was the early model that we had done. It's on my Twitter. Okay. And basically, the concept artist is available to do work for us. So he's going to go back in and get that concept art polished up. Because I didn't contact any of the graphics team that had already pre-agreed to help me over the year that I've been talking to people to see if this is possible and feasible to do. And so I haven't got them to do any work until I was happy with what we were doing with the engine as well as the physics. Yeah. So concept art and graphics will most likely kick into the project. Concept art will probably start in a month. And he's going to do a lot of environments as well, because we haven't started with environments. He did actually one environmental concept art for me, but it wasn't actually kind of exactly what I wanted. And we're obviously going for like a more futuristic feel.
Futuristic. So it's not like Quake 1 where you have a more
No,
medieval.
it's gonna have that kind of feel of something
QT.
like Tronny, but it's not going to look Tronny, because I don't like, but it's going to have that futuristic feel where basically you own a robot, and that robot is what you're controlling to fight, and you're in a futuristic arena, and it's going to have a lot of, there's so many features around it which will make it a good esports that I don't want to go into, but it is going to be a more futuristic look, and it won't have that kind of old style.
Looking at
the original environments, we might have reskins, so people, if they want to do that stuff,
Looking at weapons and stuff, are you basically basing the weapons on other titles as well, or are you trying to something new?
We've got me, Fox, and Faz have a lot of experience with different weapons, and the whole point is when you design a gun, when you design a weapon, it's kind of like you have to have the movement first. Then and the movement has to be fun, and then the weapons are actually the harder part to fit in, because you're adding them into an equation that you've already think you've got right.
Because if you're basing it on Quake, then the weapons have to
and
be
it's
like
also
Quake,
like map sizes as well. With the weapons, we have our initial design, and the design comes from the different weapons, where basically if you respawn, what weapon should you have and what it should allow you to do. If you're in an advantage, and should you be able to kill people almost instantly, maybe, if that weapon hits a headshot or something. And then also the weapons need to be a little bit more interesting, because like, I love the rocket and railgun in terms of what they are.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like lightning gun is quite a monotonous thing to watch. So it's hard to say what we're going to put in, but you obviously projectile hit scan is the initial ones, and then but it's also about looking at how exciting the fights are with weapons. For example, like being able to add combinations. Maybe increase the weapon switch time, so you're able to do a little bit more exciting stuff. But not have, maybe you don't go full CPMA on the weapons, where the reload time affects the weapon switch. So Fox and Faz basically, I started the design element and put it in, and Fox and Faz have come in and they've been working with the designer. So we're on our about 30th patch update. So we're like 0.115 right now. Okay. And we started obviously 0.01.
Do you have any ideas about adding like static weapons, maybe mines, turrets, stuff like that?
Well, I mean, it's all playtest. The thing is, our coder can do anything we want, and he works 100% on this right now. And he's given us 2 years of his time, because he's got funding that he doesn't need money from. Originally, he doesn't need money, so he's got funding to be able to just code for us for 2 years. And when the game launches, he's like, yeah, sure, bring in some of that cash if it's sold well. So yeah, that's we'll see. We're like everything is up in the air, but like the idea is it's meant to be more entertaining FPS than Quake, but you also want that depth, which is hard to get if you try and let new people in. So the whole movement system is like, strafing is amazingly fun, but if you add strafing in again, is there a way to simplify strafing? And that's something we're also looking at, the ability to people to have an enjoyable movement experience without having 2 years of practice.
Are you looking mainly into making a 1-on-1 or a 2v2, 3v3, 4v4, 5v5?
Basically, we're testing just 1-on-1 now, because there's only 3 of us. But we're going to 1-on-1. I also have a couple of hooks for the game, which is never seen before kind of game modes, which will improve the enjoyability for new players to come in and play something competitive. But I'm not going to talk about them. So you got your 1-on-1, and of course you're going to have team game elements. It's important that because it's a lot more enjoyable. I mean, we could literally take the game as well, and take the movement and the physics of Counter-Strike and just turn their sub-game into a Counter-Strike and replace Counter-Strike if Counter-Strike Go sucks, like 6 months after release. Because once you have the engine, and once you bring in like someone like Khan or Forrest to say what is good about this, you can actually do that and just replace weapons and stuff. It's not hard when the graphic artists are able to, work with the engine that we have.
Except for yourself, Fast Fox and.
But I'm going to
Coder?
concentrate on having the same movement and game,
Oh.
playing different game modes. I'm not going to add Counter-Strike in as like, oh, it's a sub game.
Of course
But yeah,
not.
go on.
Except for having yourself Fast Fox and the Coder, is anyone else in this house included at the moment?
No,
Or will there be?
there's actually, there's not, at the moment there's 5 of us working on the game. Okay, and the 5 of us are the initial starting point to see. I mean, I can tell you about how we're getting this started, and you can ask me more questions on that. But basically, there's 5 of us working on the game, very small. Okay, and the whole point is like, it doesn't matter what the game looks like right now.
Yep.
You know, all our walls and all our textures aren't really existing. It's just we're able to put them in so we can run around, etc. And so we're just getting it. The whole hardest part of making an FPS game was getting the physics and the kind of engine to feel good. I can say right now that we're not using UDK because I don't like how UDK, despite it's amazing for your graphic artists and it's amazing for you know, different departments to work on it, but UDK, unfortunately for me, has a really horrible feel to FPS. It just doesn't feel snappy enough, and we're not using IDTech either.
Curious, UDK, maybe people don't know
It's
which
the Unreal
games are events based on.
UDK is the engine, I believe, from, is it Epic?
It's the Unreal Tournament.
Unreal
or
Tournament
Unreal
engine, and
basically,
a lot of people use it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it
It
is
is.
amazing because it has so much good stuff, but it's just the way that if I originally explored UDK at the beginning when I was at Stunlock Studios, and I spoke to some guys that had the whole engine of UDK, which wasn't just a license, because normally with UDK you get a license and you pay 50,000 or whatever it is, and then you have scripts and you can call upon, you know, putting stuff in, and UDK offered so much in the sense of like that we didn't need in gameplay, like vehicles and all this other, you know, stuff that I personally feel was like would be completely redundant. And then, but I talking to their head coder at this other company, I was like, to actually work with the Quake, you know, to get that feel and to get that mouse input feel and that movement feel. It just didn't feel as like it was gonna happen. So I kind of scrapped the idea of UDK as so. Yeah, it's not gonna.
Yeah, on the same topic, not using UDK or ID Tech, I guess you're not planning on maybe porting the game to other platforms other than PC?
The game already with what we've done with the engine is PC Mac.
Yeah.
So most likely we're gonna, hopefully when it comes out, it will be Mac compatible, which I think is important when you're on the PC market. But we're not looking and we're not interested in getting it on the Xbox or like PlayStation because it's just too much work. And you got to understand there's many different ways you can build this game. And so basically what happened is that I started this game without financing, okay? And I made all these deals and contacts with different people where they were able to come in and say, I can do some of this work for you. And so I designed the game to basically have a minimum amount of work, but to be a high quality where it wouldn't take too much of anyone's time apart from a few core people to make the correct decisions. And the one thing we found with working with our coder is because me, Fox and Faz ask for the right things the first time as well as how they work and explain them well, we're not wasting our coders' time. So we've made such a huge amount of progress on like the physics. That's really why I've been able to say it's actually in production now, because we're happy to, like, we're happy knowing that we've already got something there which is
You can
good.
build upon, basically.
So,
But
yeah,
here's a question: who's the 5th guy? Did you say it?
yeah, no, I'm not saying it either. I'm keeping people on the project now, like, as in,
Can you say the role of the 5th player?
the
5th guy, or girl, the role.
yeah, there's, well, it's, at the moment, it's just simple modeling,
All right.
as well as, like, it's not so much a role for the gameplay right now. We're just getting in, because we want to have the feel and graphics and modeling, but it's just someone just helping us get, like, kind of, and make us feel the vision of it, like, a little bit more, because we haven't got all the concept work, but with what we have off some of the concepts, we've already done some stuff, but we haven't ported it in yet.
Having a small pistol doing rail is
Huh?
not so. Having a small pistol doing the rail or a rocket maybe doesn't get it to you.
Well, it doesn't matter to us so much, but we want to kind of get it up. Okay, let me talk about the process. Basically, started the game, right, and then we got to a certain point, and I was like, okay, this is good, and I announced. Now, why did I announce? You probably noticed that that normally you wouldn't announce a game like that. Okay,
No.
you wouldn't. So what I actually did was, just because my first plan was to get the game up to a certain standard by 3 to 6 months and actually get a preview on Kickstarter and raise potentially maybe $100,000 from esports communities and people that thought the project was good. And if I make a good Kickstarter video, most people would actually be like, actually, I just want to support the guys, maybe more than the game, because, you know, they seem like they've got something going on. So Kickstarter was like an option that I had. Okay, now with the Kickstarter option, we would I would make sure the game still would hopefully release 2 years tops. But I would slim down on a lot of the features that I would want end term and release the game earlier and allow people to start playing it, similar to how like Minecraft worked, where you get in and then you can just start playing it and we keep updating the game. And this would be a model which would cover the community's expenses of $100,000 because they'd be happy to get in earlier. But it wouldn't necessarily make the impact that we want on the mainstream as well as the final product that we want to come out. So you'd have something enjoyable, but you'd have to wait for some of the features that we would have coming. But as long as people are enjoying it and playing it, we would be able to support the continued development. So I decided that instead of going like a Minecraft route, I basically put out a post saying that we're doing the game, and obviously there's a lot of naysayers and stuff, and I actually put out the post we're getting the game for a reason. It was a strategical move. I met someone that was like interested in putting up money for this game. So I have an opportunity to raise potentially enough money where I can start the studio, hopefully in like 3 months' time, where potentially we could take $1 million and actually just start development. And rather than these people like helping us, there's a lot of the people that want to help us, like the technical artist, the graphic artist, GUI, you know, and all these like different programmers, some on the engine, some on features, would actually come over and you know, and they would work with us in Stockholm on the game. So I actually made the news post of we're doing the game solely so when I had that meeting on Sunday, Monday, that I would be able to show the community response from ES Reality Twitter from a 12-hour post on my Twitter. And it actually helped within the meeting because I got to show the demo of the game and I got to show what the community response was and how hungry they are for something and how they think I'm capable. And I also had to talk about all my other projects and how they've been going financially. And so I'm at a point now where potentially I won't even have to use Kickstarter if I can pull off the next month of negotiations, which is basically, do I not fuck up? Because there's already like a handshake and a yes, we want to invest and we want this game to come out. And then it's that someone's coming over to the house and they're going to sit down with me and quantify the workload as well as against the features. And I've also got help from other people within the industry that have been helping me kind of like put together the plan. And then once the quantifying works and what I've done before works and everything checks out, there's a potential investment, which means I can not take the community's money from Kickstarter and actually just develop the game and release it with expectations of, you know, outselling our initial investment on the first week, which I think is possible with a FPS game. But it depends because the business model is not decided if it's going to be instantly free to play or if it's going to be a pre-order or it's going to be whatever, and is there going to be stuff you're able to spend? Because there's one thing important when we design this game is that we know the hardcore community are definitely going to be the community that we can target and reach, and we don't need to spend money on marketing because we have access to a lot of esport, a lot of esports that hopefully people would give us a shot, even from different communities like StarCraft. But we don't want to maybe, you know, so I've designed the model to support what we currently are. But of course, if we can get to the mainstream as well, and because we're doing something new and different, we can also bring in more money to the project where I can support esports in a better way for the project as well. And I've already got companies, like large companies, that are helping me with a PR tour when we get there. So there are external companies, I won't name them, basically who already have all the contacts with like IGN, PC Gamer, and they will put together for me a PR tour when we get round to being able to do it to make sure that the mainstream gets connected and the word out, but we won't be spending a lot of money on marketing otherwise. It will be a mainstream tour plus esports, grassroots. Yeah.
Like speaking outside the game as well, or outside like the gameplay, are you looking at doing in-game ladders, ranking, stuff like that?
Oh, of course. I mean, come on, dude. I designed the tournament system for Bloodline Champions, so it's going to have like tournament systems, ladders, rankings. It's going to have all the features that it's meant to have to be a proper esport game. It's not. It's meant to facilitate what esports is, but it's not meant to overdo it, so it doesn't kill the community contribution. Because in Bloodline Champions, I made the mistake of running too many in-game tournaments on our schedule that people didn't need to leave the game to go elsewhere to find good tournaments, and then it kind of prevented people like ESL wanted to come in and run something weekly because there's already something going on that was easier to access. So we're going to make a much better connection with the community tournaments, with the in-game system as well as the tournament organizers, and there's a lot of business models around that where how it can like generate a small amount of income which can keep the game being developed.
The main focus is to get a good game where a lot of like Quake lovers can play and who likes FPS, or is it to get an esport game where you can have the high quality like the Inter Extreme Master Stream like MLG kind of tournaments?
Well, basically, the way I've designed the production of the game, it should hopefully come out to a standard where you think it would be like a AAA title, in the sense that the quality of what we've done, because we slimmed down on a lot of different things. For example, in Battlefield, they create many different characters. We've only got one, potentially two robots. There may be some customization on them, but the point is like we work very hard. We're going to work very hard to make sure they're of a high quality in terms of movement, animation, particle effects, and etc. So we want it to be presentable at like tournament levels as something which is very spectacular, and so I think it will definitely be picked up by tournament organizations. But of course, the main reason it wouldn't be picked up by tournament organizations if the viewing numbers were low, and the viewing numbers can only be potentially low if we focus too much on recreating an overly comparable Quake experience, where people don't want to come in because they've already had something too similar to it. To have something new and have some good game hooks, if you can bring in a mainstream, and then organizers are more inclined to take up your project based off the success rather than how much money you're going to throw at them. So there's a lot of ways you have to think about the design and how it's going to affect you in terms of aftermath of launch and the business development of esports. But depending on the production cost and where we get to at the end is depending on what we need to do, because there's obviously going to be a certain amount of milestones that I want to hit in terms of like what comes back in if the investors I don't fuck up, and if if we go the Kickstarter route and etc. But yeah, so it's I'm prepared to go. We can go all the way to the top and do everything like that, or we can just release it and be like, there's enough of you, and this is what you want. So have what you want.
Would you say this is a hardcore game, or will you make it League of Legends so it's easy
going to be
to come into hardcore game?
Yeah, I mean the thing is, there's no point in I don't feel. I haven't worked out gameplay mechanics. If the player base and the game's fun enough, people will play it on all different skill levels. But I'm not thinking necessarily like, oh, I want to be as big as League of Legends and I want to dumb down, in my opinion, some of the experience to open up to the masses so we make lots of money. I'm actually focusing on making a much more... basically, when we design the game, like me, Fox, and Faz, we look at like how expressive can you be with your character, and how expressive can you be as a personality when you play in that game, to really allow people to show what's the difference between them and their opponent. And I think that's always been what Quake had a huge advantage with. And we have big advantages when you make an FPS game if you can get the physics and that kind of stuff right, because the balance is obviously easy to balance when people have the same. You don't have different champions, and you don't have... you've only got spawn locations maybe as the balance at the start of the match. So yeah.
I have two last questions.
Yeah.
Number one, how are you going to combine this work with Reborn with your Twitch TV work and the Good Studio work?
Twitch TV, always on top of, and right now I'm only overseeing what Fox and Faz are changing with the coder. So Twitch TV is like our primary focus here, but we...
No, you mean Twitch TV, now you mean Reborn, right?
No, Twitch TV is the primary focus on what we're working on now. I'm only taking steps to ensure that we can start development on this. And if we start development, the Twitch TV European team will expand, right. And then someone will most likely, who's actually better than me at my job, will actually come in and actually do a % of my work to Twitch TV. Because within the studio and what we run as a business, we basically are a key turn solution to certain partners. So we offer that we can do everything. In terms of, from event production to outreach management to tech support to, everything else. And so it's not hard for me to bring in one person who actually is better than me at what I currently do for Twitch now. And so I've already done all the negotiations on that as well. But it's all up in the air.
And the studio?
And the studio is great because basically the studio is run by Trance for the majority of it. And I just turn up and talk shit.
All right.
So... 3 times a week, not bad.
My last question then.
Yeah.
Was that your last question? Or
how nervous are you going into this big project?
I
mean, it's not only that it's like your child. I know you told me about this game maybe 2 or 3 years, 2 years ago, something like that. So I mean, you have had it in your head for a long time. Now getting hopefully all the investments, putting a lot of heart into it. I mean. It's a big project.
When I go into a project, what I do is I surround myself with people that are better than me in different areas, and it allows me actually to be more of a vision for the project than someone that has to become overly obsessive and work on it every second of the day. Because Fox and Faz have already proven themselves to be a little bit better than me at some of the design changes. Faz is a little bit, she keeps wanting to change shit. But yeah, I surround myself with people that I know that are capable of handling the job roles by themselves without having to have me obsess over it. Which is basically just so I can stand back and make sure everything's working properly and still put in the vision and make sure that we're all on the right track. So it's not, honestly, my life isn't too hands-on.
So we will have the reborn of the FPS era soon.
You should probably go to chat for some questions because they've been whining for a
while. Yeah, go on then, chat. We can ask some questions now.
They're mainly, the main question that keeps popping up is regarding the physics. What do you have in mind for the time being? Movement?
Fuck off, Faz. I didn't want to remove rocket jumping, you dick. Fucking trolling me.
Go fast.
Why the name Reborn? Basically, it's a pun because it's more like FPS Reborn.
Yep.
It's the rebirth of FPS. Fast-paced FPS. Pay to play or free to play, completely up in the air right now. Have to see how that goes. LAN mode, I'm not against it. But we're going to have to work a way to be able to support, to make sure, depending on our model, what happens if we go into LAN support. But obviously we're going to have LAN support for tournaments, but I would still like the ability for people to play next. Anti-cheat we've already looked into with the engine, and we're looking at solutions with that, so we will have an anti-cheat. Where is it?
Spectator mode.
Oh, yeah, come on.
Yeah, but are you planning anything special for it, or...
Oh, yeah, dude. I can't.
Anything you can announce?
I'm fucking new.
Anything you can announce?
It's not going to be like Battlefield 3, no spectator.
Until we actually get...
fucking Battlefield.
Engine, we're actually not announcing the engine that we're using because we've started with something and it's completely changed. So you could call it basically our own engine. Which is really good because it's small, lightweight, and it does what it needs to do. And the graphics still support OpenGL as well as DirectX, etc. And shaders are good.
Definitely will. What NBC says. That's something actually we can make something really cool.
Oh, are we working with XSplit? Yeah. Basically, Twitch TV has like a SDK where you can actually just start streaming, and some developers are starting to use Twitch TV. So we're going to be working, Twitch TV pay me enough money, sure, I'll put Twitch TV into the game. OpenGL, yeah, OpenGL is good. Luckily for us, thanks to Notch, basically OpenGL is very acceptable across a lot of systems now. If you want to, just run OpenGL, because Notch and Minecraft, that's what I ran out of that. So OpenGL is really good. But we're not working with Notch on this project, by the way. So it's not him. Then what was the other? FPS 120, yeah, I want to lock it at 120.
Good question
Linux,
about maps.
Our servers are currently on Linux, so hopefully we'll see what we can do with Linux. And Steam, potentially yes, Steam, but you got to remember, with Steam. Steam's great, but they take 30% of all your sales. So I might be able to see if we can launch and then get implemented on Steam. We're not in any competition with any other Steam's own projects. Like if we did a Counter-Strike game, it might be a harder time. But yeah, we'll see. So
what about maps?
Maps? Basically, we've already got some maps in game. They're not great. We didn't really design them, so to speak. We just threw something together. We will, because of the workload, we don't want to focus on having a map designer in-house. What we're actually going to do is we're going to have a map, how do you call it, not so much a level designer. We're going to have levels to start with, but we're not going to have so much a level designer in-house to make good maps. We're going to have a level coordinator, and I'm most likely going to be contacting level designers around the Quake and FPS communities to come in and make some of the early maps. And then basically the level coordinator is the guy that kind of says and works with them. So we're looking for the community, some of the initial people to, if they want to help us release with X amount of maps, to do so. But also we're still looking into having a system where we can support them financially for doing work on the game. The team, if we get investment, the team will only be 10 people big. Yep. We're not looking to blow the team up and have so much going on where, it's...
Can you steal a small segment on this?
Yeah.
About maps? Because
maps are the most important
when
thing
looking into FPS, what's good in Doom and Quake, and looking what's bad in the game's development moment, I think maps is the key. And for me, John Romero, who was the map level designer at id, I think that what he...
Nice
not only that he... Let's close everything down.
Chance got his new camera working.
Hello, camera, new camera. Anyway, I think that he played the game the most because he did the levels to feel how the levels turned out. And in that way, he can also say, this needs to be changed in the physics. John Carmack, you need to change this. I also think that John Romero just felt, okay, you should be out to run out. Tell man. Fucking harassed.
Chance is playing with his new toy.
Stop. That's not cool when I'm trying to make a point.
Fine, go on.
Anyway, I think that John Romero said we should go outside and get a big venue you can see a whole building. So John Carmack had to just rewrite the whole code more or less to not get it laggy.
Yeah.
And in that way he pushed the technology a lot just because he was a level designer. And that at that time in '92 I think was just mind blowing.
Yeah.
So for me, I think level designers, map designers are really pushing the game because you can see if we change the physics like this, we can make the map into this.
What would you rather have on this title, right? Would you rather have me get someone from the industry that makes levels and he kind of doesn't have that Quake experience because there's not many people that work in a studio that are obsessed with Quake, or would you rather have me have one person who was it, John
Romero?
Yeah, one person like that, or would you rather have me, Faz, Fox, some other professionals look after what the community is doing, who are the hardcore players and understand how the maps work?
I just made a point about how important maps are at this moment.
I think that my way of handling it is the best way to get the best results.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Like,
I know. I'm not saying it's anything wrong, but I'm just saying like, oh, yeah, I get your point, but it's like, yeah, I'm just saying like, yeah, I agree, and I'm doing it in a different way than other people, and I think
For sure.
will work. Any more questions? I wasn't trying to get defensive. I sounded defensive there, like I was shouting.
Yeah, you showed it at me.
I was like, don't tell me.
And then you're trans, like making that kind of strange camera angles when I was making my point. I'm feeling harassed at this project, and I'm not even included in it. What the hell? No.
You've actually seen the game.
Yeah, that's
In
true.
its early stage.
Yeah, yes.
About a couple of weeks ago.
like shit.
Netcode already feels pretty good. We had a like a 70 ping, but we're also going to be improving that. So everything just needs to be good as we can make it for esports. So we will focus on
Are you
a
looking
play
at
system, of course.
Are you looking at doing like a centralized system with servers or dedicated servers with different service providers?
What we're looking to do with servers is, luckily, we have quite a nice connection with Telia. So I'll be having, in the future, I haven't set up yet, a meeting with Telia and asking them to host our dedicated servers across Europe. And then we'll be looking to do similar things across America as well as Asia.
Yeah, but will people be able to set up their own servers in their basements, basically?
Well, that's completely... I mean, I got to talk to my coder about that stuff. We haven't even... I mean, I'm looking at law. I'm basically looking at if I spend X money, or someone gives me X money, and we spend X time, how do we make sure that the game is enjoyable enough that people want to continue playing after launch, but the sales are enough and the support is enough that people enjoy the first initial experiences that want to stay in the game. So, if it's good, because the thing is, it's like, it's always worth having people on the game and continuing the development of it afterwards.
Yeah, because that's one of the main topics in the PC gaming community right now is basically dedicated servers versus like EA-owned servers, so they can basically...
No,
kill
I
the
mean, I
games you
like
want to.
dedicated
Yeah.
servers.
Your main focus, is it Europe and America, or is it also Asia?
Yeah, I really want to see if we can do something in Asia, and I've got some ideas because they did some really cool stuff with like League of Legends in the internet cafes.
Yeah,
basically,
that's really neat, actually.
where some big internet cafes basically got all champions for free. So if I release in Asia, I'll be a little bit more like I have to maybe do more over there to get them interested, and we'll see what we can do. And I have partners already who run like Quake tournaments out in Japan that are on my list of people to talk to. As well as so I know some of the production guys that run tournaments in China and also Korea. So there's always a chance that I would like to do some launch tournaments all over with prize money. That basically, if we take money from like the game initially, if we do a model like that, and then we want to put in for launch X amount of money in all the different tournaments over the world. So we have, for example, we have the game out for a week, and then every day for 1 week you have a different tournament in a different continent. After launch, and then the good studio maybe does the commentary for it in English, and then we have other partners that come in.
So if you start doing coverage for Reborn, what game are you going to kick out? Or the 4 you're currently covering?
It depends. I mean, I really like Quake.
Fucking.
I mean, I really like Quake, and I even got a congratulations from Sincera, who's actually like really nice and helpful guy, and he's always supported like the community. So he doesn't necessarily, he knows that this is potentially maybe could be good, could flop, but at the same time he's happy for like the idea of something new. Because he's like a hardcore Quake fan, and he just wants more out of like a Quake. But I think that where its software is with ZeniMax, that they probably will focus on other projects.
Yeah.
So even if Quake has to be like the replaced game, it will most likely be because the game is better. Hopefully.
Yeah. Will there be a Reborn Con?
Reborn Con? Is that a question from chat?
No, that's my question.
That's Newman trolling. He's on a roll.
Yes.
It's
It's going to be at the house.
it's going to be crazy.
Dallas, Texas, the Hilton.
Scandic Malmö. Anyway, James, oh shit. I forgot the question. That was silly of me.
Fuck.
Guys, regarding movement and physics, it's still in the early development. Nothing is...
Yeah, we're not going to say exactly what we've got it down to, apart from it's fun now, and we might have to change it based on what our maps come out like, and also what our weapons, because the weapons have to synergize with the movement and the combat, so it's still early stage, so... This will probably be like the only time I talk about this in like this long of a way, and then I'm just going to go back and try and get shit done because I actually was very tired before the show just because I've been working on this, and then in the morning I had to do my Twitch TV work as well as have some meetings about this as well, and I'm meeting a studio this Sunday. Where they're helping me quantify some of the work in terms of if we get a certain amount of investment, how many, technical, like how many artists, where the technical artists, graphic artists for projectiles, how many coders do we need for X features, etc. So there's a lot of people actually helping me just because they're nice. So it's taking up a lot of my time. I'm just basically running around talking shit and connecting stuff to make it happen.
Are you looking at anything at mod support?
A mod support?
Yeah. For mods, basically.
Haven't. How do you mean, like mods? What kind of mods?
If anyone want to make like I don't know, some random mod for the game.
The way that we've already coded the game is the coder is really nice because he knows that we don't understand code as designers. So he's coded everything with variables where you can change like air control, you can change anything you want just by typing the command in. Yeah. And so that's allowed us to basically get to test and get the physics the way we want it, like early in terms of an early stage physics. So there's always a potential for mods. I'd like to do something also because our movement's, I think, really fun right now. I'd like to do something for the defragger community, because they can easily make maps for this, and also with the movement physics, they might find something that they design themselves. They maybe take our movement physics and add something different that makes defragging a lot more fun. So there's always opportunities to do that for people in the future. But right now, the focus obviously has to be on just hitting what we need to hit to get something out.
Have you looked into and analyzed Quake Live when it was launched, or maybe it was into a more official beta phase in 2008? What they did from that process what made it kind of not fail, but I felt that in 2008 it had so much potential to get so many more players. Yep. I guess a ladder system was one of the parts that failed, but have you seen other things except it was an old game?
I've looked at a lot of what people have been doing right and wrong, and I won't comment on it so much, but I'm aware of the success of this is not always sometimes the success of your game isn't necessarily on how good your game is. It's where you place it, how you release it, what's there when it's released, and how you work with the community. So there's a lot of focus and probably me to work out a lot when we go into different phases and who we show the game to and why we do it and what we hope to get from it. Like, for example, it could be really good for us to say to one time at a DreamHack, have everybody that attends DreamHack to be able to play Reborn or get an early access to Reborn, but only them, and just look from those 5,000 people, how many continue playing.
5,000?
5,000 people most likely, because you have how many seats? BYOC seats at 12.
Last winter 9,300.
But it's kind of like a focus group. It's like a focus group on 10,000 people. But then you also risk the opportunity. Then it's like, oh, you're going to have too much leaking, because everyone's going to give it out, and and if you're secure in the idea that your game is good enough and it will keep people's attention, maybe you don't need to do that, and you work with a fewer select amount. But it's a hard decision to make, and so it hasn't been made yet by any means.
2 questions. System requirements. I guess that's super way too early to ask. People
we're going to try and make the system requirements low as possible.
Yeah.
Because even though
because logic.
When we just want people to be able to play it, right?
And then single player mode?
Single player mode, fuck no.
Bots? In
bots?
multiplayer?
Yeah, we already actually have.
Oh, I missed the Quake 2 bots. Those days when I practice.
Quake 2 bots, why Quake 2?
Will there be hats?
Because it was so new.
Will there be hats?
Hats. Single player mode, fuck no, just because the main reason is that when you do something, like everything we do in the game should be the highest quality of what we do. So we're going to do a tournament system, it will be a full tournament system with a lot more features than you've seen in like the other tournament systems that I've either worked on or other people have done, or a ladder system, etc. So the whole point is, if you do a single player mode, it has to be a really good single player mode. Otherwise, if you give it to someone like PC Gamer, they review it and say, oh, single player mode was pretty shit. But the whole point is like, no, it's not a fucking single-player game. So you just don't go into single-player mode. You don't go into story. You don't waste money on shit that people don't care about when you have when you understand the focus and why people would want to play this.
And it's really expensive also, single-player mode.
Mm-hmm. Developing.
Yeah. Dude, no way. Like, it's just, that's not going to happen. It's like, you know, even with like
It's a cheap
even with
question.
sound.
I'm taking no responsibility.
I mean, like, you know, we'd like announcers and, you know, stuff like that, but it's more important we get one sound guy and make sure the guns and the movement and, the sound makes the game feel fun, because it's a big factor in terms of does that weapon sound right. So a lot of our focus for initial sound.
I would love to have some like quirky, too good mixed to Duke Nukem sounds.
No, I think it's cheesy when you put my voice in a game, sorry. I
No.
think they did it with some other people. I'd rather have someone, like,
You
really-
want to taunt people.
Total Biscuits.
Total biscuit.
And you have James versus Total Biscuit in this cage running.
Yeah.
Awesome. Please
No.
do that.
Wouldn't
Good
get
mod.
top hats.
Good mod.
Huh?
A good mod.
What about Linux support?
To play on Linux or Linux?
Yeah, play on Linux.
Yeah, we're looking into that. PC Mac is like what we know, the engine already handles. So
Yeah,
I have to
maybe
talk to the guy, and it's like the thing is, it's like I'm not sure how much because our engine coder currently now can also do everything. So I'm not sure how much we're going to have to keep on engine coding and then also physics coding, and are we going to have to help him help out some of the technical artist side of things to port stuff in as well as like features. So I have to have another meeting with him in Stockholm and basically decide like where he wants people to help him out and with the list of stuff that we've described. So it's quite a challenging project, but it's fun.
So will you be self-publishing this on Steam or something like that, or are you looking
We
for a
won't.
publisher?
We won't have a publisher.
Yeah.
Chat question.
Will there be a grapple hook?
Oh, grapple hook, please.
We're done now. Yeah.
Grapple hook.
We're done.
Huh?
Grapple hook.
I can show you something that's quite fun
If you want another question asked, just
Like-
spam it right now.
that you enjoy. We done? Showing that I'm saying too much.
No.
Oh.
Will there
Are
be a
you,
female character?
There'll be
Okay, sure,
clan
I think.
support and replay, huh?
Will there be a female character?
Will there be a female character? Right now, there's just a male model for it, and we're looking into that. It depends. It's like it would have to be the exactly same size, and we've designed the robots to be able to be skinnable by community, where they can put logos on, but also they have to have the correct kind of shapes and dimensions when they move and move around the map, as well as the correct coloring in the right spots in terms of like torso, arms, shoulders, legs, so that when they run around corners, even if someone skinned their character a little bit twattish, like black, you still get the instant pop that they were there because of certain places. So the male model is, if you can call it that, it's just a robot, but the original one is potentially.
Okay.
Picnic like options. Yes or no?
Picnic options. Basically, the game should the environment I want to feel smooth enough that you won't have to think about picnic. But I want the environment to feel smooth enough and kind of have that futuristic feel that because you don't have to think about picnic, you don't have to play with it, because the environment shouldn't be something that is overly eye candy-ish that distracts you from what's important with the gameplay. It should complement and also make the other enemy character pop, as well as anything that else you've got in there, like in-game banners or a live scoreboard in-game in neon lights, where you can look up in the sky and you see your scoreboard and stuff.
Is it
Headshot.
free to play? Everybody seems to be spending it. Free to play.
Nothing's been decided with the model yet. It's just basically
Yes.
what's best for the community size as well as future development. Because you have the option of potentially you could like hype the game. You could have a really good game. You'd be like, rather than like just go free to play straight away, let's just kind of go for sales. And actually give something a little extra, and just make sure the hardcore audience from ES Reality and some of the esport guys and old Quake fans come in and spend that money and certainly not disappointed. And then you could be like, over time you might be like, well, actually, the initial sales were good enough that we should actually make it free to play. And then the people that paid originally for the game don't have to pay for anything in game, and the free to play guys come in then. And then the free to play guys, basically have a simpler version where they can start upgrading.
Alahan.
Huh?
Alahan.
Headshots, yes or no?
Headshots, I'm for.
You like it?
Yeah.
Discussing.
But it's very much dependent on particular weapons and also why, and there's a lot of motivation behind for and against it. I personally like headshots, the idea of, but it can't be something like insta-kill. It can only be like a % damage bonus for a certain particular weapons, because maybe if you headshots, maybe if someone spawns and you shoot them with this particular gun, you wouldn't normally kill them off spawn, but if you shoot them in the head off spawn, they die. So it could be a difference from X damage to X damage. So it would be, it's something, everything has to have that impressive feel and the risk-reward factor in your decisions. And we've got a few, like, you know, design elements that haven't been used that should be fun. So
I must have shotgun or not a shotgun.
Shotgun or not a shotgun?
Yeah, I fucking love shotguns.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's like
I know you can't say your answer.
But the thing is like the weapons. I have a model around the weapons, which I can't talk about because it would help the game with the free to play community, and also, you know, but it's kind of like, yeah, I love the shotgun.
And it's really hard to answer this early as well. It's going to be playtesting.
Yeah, it has to. Yeah. And the trouble is, it's like everything I say here, it's completely up in the air, and then in 3 months' time, I'll look back at the interview and be like, oh god, you know, like this, that, and the other, because it's just where we are right now. Because a lot of people took from some of the stuff that I said in the first, you know, talk about it on Real Talk with JP is like, that's going to happen. That's definitely going to be in there. But mainly the only thing that you can really take from it is like, we're going to focus on what's important to our industry and what we enjoy from it. And we are reading everyone's feedback. Some people have suggested things that are already put in, you know, so some people out there have actually, you know, kind of agreed with some of the stuff we've done, and some people just, you know, love giving their 2 cents, and we'll read it and work on it.
Maybe one last question. If you do get this investment, will you like still have the last word on every design decision? Is that like a major point, like a deal breaker for you?
Yeah, I'll be majority, and I'll still be like creative director of the game, and I'll still have last word. But at the same time, Fox and Faz, I'm one of these people where if someone can prove me wrong.
Yeah, what I'm basically asking is if this investor comes in and says we need to make it more casual.
Oh, no. No, the investor is pretty much like...
We must have Ultipack for like $50.
DLC, day one DLC, basically.
Trust of this investor over 9 months, and they met me, did some research, you know, they knew me kind of before, and they heard some of my stuff, and actually a lot of the potential chance to get investment is also off the success of what we've done with the studio and the other companies I run, the ability to kind of put in, pay money, pay taxes, and pay salaries. So they understand that this is something that can work, and I'm someone that can actually run a project. So that's nice, but I will have, the still control over it. But I, you know, in design elements as well, it's like if Fox and Faz, who are like great because they're at each end of the spectrums, if they prove me wrong, then it's completely, you know, that's them proving me wrong, and I won't come in and be a dick about it. I'll just be like, yeah, that's way better. Yeah. And so.
What about getting?
Bullet spread, bullet drop, stuff like that?
No. Nah, I don't want to go into weapons and details right now.
What about getting feedback from other scenes other than the Quake scene? Getting feedback from other scenes other than the Quake scene?
Oh, yeah, we will. Yeah. But it's...
You're keeping it close-knit at the moment.
I think it's better to keep it close-netted at the moment, because I just feel that without completely having everything down on paper in terms of like business model, and it doesn't matter, as I said, if we get investment or not, the project continues, and we just do a different finish to the game. And a different style of doing it, and the business model depends on the investment or not. But the game will obviously go ahead, and we're planning for a 2-year. But if we get it faster and sooner, and it's good, and we just want to throw it out there and be like, start playing it, and we'll keep on developing it, then we do that. But it'll be interesting to see how the journey is. But with investment, I think I have a lot more chance at success as a better plan, as well as bringing in a more amount of people back into a fast-paced FPS game, which will ultimately help the esports scene.
GTV-like option?
Huh?
Would you think of implementing the GTV-like option?
Sorry. Haven't thought about it much right now. Like, the key esports features that I've been thinking about is more of what esports is to us in terms of streaming, and also what it is in terms of tournament organization, community tournaments and friend tournaments and laddering, and what's the incentive and how it supports. So having something like a GTV option is just basically like, maybe people want to watch some stuff in game and then control the camera themselves. So it's really hard to say what you're going to do and what you're not going to do by the end of the project, because when working at in a game studio for a couple of years, it's the horrible idea of having to cut down on features based off pressure and launch times. So I think I've got a pretty good idea on what's the most important things to launch with and what it definitely needs and what's critical, and then I'll go with that, and then if we've done a good enough job, we'll be able to expand on it, because I mean, at the end of the day, like, I don't have too many game ideas that are going to be successful, right? I've kind of like grown up with a fast-paced FPS, so if I launch this and say, right, now we're going to do an MMO, it's kind of like, I would rather stay with something that I know that
keep expanding.
The team, and the designers and the community that I listen to have much more expertise in than a lot of actually game designers out there that would be able to make a fast-paced FPS game and then continue development, and then maybe even hopefully work on something like Reborn 2, but let's not get too far ahead.
So we just announced Reborn 2 then, I guess.
But people kind of say, they were like, why Reborn? They were like, I play Quake, so I'm a Quaker. What am I if I play Reborn? I was like, well, maybe you're just Reborn.
Fucking Jesus.
yeah, you're fucking Jesus.
Cool, man.
Yeah, okay. That was a long talk.
Yeah.
Hope you got some answers. Was it interesting enough, or did it really not answer anything?
I liked it as well.
It's like, I just wish we could maybe speed up in 1 year or something, so we really could have the game in hand.
The fucked up thing is, I could probably get this game out in less than a year, but it wouldn't be like a finished version. It would just be like cool gameplay, cool weapons, cool shit, but it wouldn't have all the sparkly features. And so that's a choice I have to make as well, because our primary focus when you start this is actually making the game. And then you have to think about, are we going to do like a chat system with Battle.net and laddering and stuff? And sometimes people just want to fucking play the game now, and you might just be like, pay $10 and or whatever, you want to say, 10, 20, whatever it is that you think the game's worth. We have no idea right now. And you say, there you go, early access, just keep playing it, and then we'll just keep fucking coding off. So, I mean, if I did a Kickstarter route, I might consider going with an earlier release, but it really depends. And the trouble is, if you do that, your game has to be so good, like Minecraft, where it goes viral, because otherwise you can use the alternative method where you obviously go down the PR route and the marketing route, and then you kind of make sure that the marketing was as strong or stronger than word of mouth.
Then you're competing with Battlefield 5 and Call of Duty.
Yeah, but not necessarily
26.
on whatever it was. But it's tricky, because I mean, you could actually do a PR marketing scheme that no one's done before, which I've actually kind of got in my head, where basically you start a stream and you get everybody that wants access Reborn to come on, and you start a stream. You get like 5,000 to 10,000 people, and what you do is you basically say, right, guys. At the end of 6 hours, we're going to show you the first footage of Reborn. But before that 6 hours, me plus the 5,000 people in chat need to go to every fucking website possible that talks about Reborn and start talking about Reborn and create forum threads everywhere where 5,000 people follow you. And you have a plan before the show where you get all the websites that you want to go into.
I think Samuel hates you at the moment.
No. Where you want to go into, and basically you have everyone follow you, and basically one person types, has anybody checked out this game called Reborn? And everyone else comes in afterwards, and it's like the biggest thread on every single website, and it fucks people up. And apparently there's a picture of me looking like Jesus.
It's quite good.
Yeah, there you go.
Be the box art.
Yeah, please.
This is going to be the box art, yeah. You can bring up my screen. There you go, guys.
Man.
Reborn.
The backside of the box.
Yeah.
Jesus, too good Hardy.
And the heart, instead of the heart, it should be like a Quake symbol.
Yeah, there it is. That's our Reborn box set art. Done.
Maybe
it's fucked
not.
up. He's
Oh, it's
configuring
back.
it. Yeah,
It looks like my stream actually.
there you go. That's what you'll get. That's available in shops near you. You'll get a discount from GameSpot if you can tell them my middle name, or you dress as Jesus when you go in, and then there you go. That's what's going to happen. If you dress up as Jesus and buy it at GameSpot, discount.
Yeah.
That would be
I want a queue of 1,000 people dressed as Jesus lining up for GameSpot on launch day. Why are you here?
Messiah
We're
is
reborn,
here.
man. It's the third coming.
Jesus Messiah hard.
Fuck you guys. Will the development be documented in any way? Oh, that's something interesting that I thought about as well. Is like, am I going to be able to do something where I actually turn the development process into more of a show
Blog.
and have but more of like a show on Twitch? And I thought about that, and I really haven't come to a decision on it. But it's a good point because it could actually help the game go viral as well as potentially with the support from community and outsiders that actually just want to come in and be like, oh, I can do you a this, I can outsource that. I'm happy to design a couple more levels and stuff if they knew what was going on.
We won't be expecting any Roman skins then.
And the new Painkiller, I think, is going to be great as well. So, I mean, I'm not worried about other people's games and what they're going to be doing. I think a lot of the focus that people lack when they make a good esport FPS game is they don't know they were making a good esport FPS game. And then sometimes there's a lot of features that aren't there.
Will it contain strong language?
Hopefully.
One hopes.
Yeah, like Reborn meetings live streamed could be funny. I
Shit,
mean,
speaking of which, we still have to do a meeting for the studio.
yeah.
But we
Anyway,
just did it.
we're done talking about it. It's on its way. I'm gonna have so many hurdles to overcome still. So I'll keep you guys updated. But what's not gonna happen is it's not gonna stop. It will continue because we have the core people that are actually helping. So even if we lack getting some graphics done 1 month and the next month, we'll still get them done. And the way that we've designed the work, it won't have too much going on.
What
All
did I
right.
promise? Reinforce? What did I promise?
Reborn Fatality. Oh my god.
Reinforce. Remind me what I promised.
Someone bought the site. First Reborn fan site. Too good. This is my Jesus. Yeah, but there's a lot of talk and I'm not showing much right now. So
Oh yeah, we got to do the meeting.
a lot
soon,
like
that's right.
Jesus then.
yeah. So that's just you won't hear much more about it from me. So thanks for joining. Hope you found it interesting. And Fatality is definitely yes. He is invested.
Yes.
He is the investor. It's Fatality.
Alright. So, what's coming up next week?
FPS.
Next